Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Bottom of the Bill. We got Jessica Jones on today.
Hey, how you doing?
Here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Before we get started, see the obligatory cheers.
Cheers!
Oh, she's drinking water. We got beer and what are you drinking, Tony?
I'm drinking tequila.
Well, okay.
I just had a shot of tequila.
She did.
It's been a long weekend. Anyways, before we get started, we would like to thank all of our sponsors, Spliffs downtown, Wicked Barley over in Mandarin, Brews over in Riverside, Harleston Scotch Company, Sidecar Jack's, Captain Jack's Smokehouse, and Blue Jay Listening Room. All of our sponsors for helping us out with the show and for remaining open all these crazy times. Make sure you guys go support them because they're all working real hard right now. And then if you have any questions or suggestions for guests or anything like that, or unpopular opinions, we do an unpopular opinion segment at the end. So
Awesome.
think about one if you got one.
Okay.
You can send any of those to bottomofthebill@gmail.com. And then
How's our fan mail looking?
it's looking superb.
Is like packed?
Yeah, there's like no fan mail, but it's okay. We're
We have
getting
a lot
there.
of viewers.
I'll send you guys some fan.
Yeah,
There you
I'd
will.
appreciate that.
And then you guys will be like too busy to open it.
You're the first guest that we've had on that's actually given us a gift.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Cool.
We really
For sure,
appreciate
for sure.
that.
Wow, you guys could invite some deadbeats up in here, huh?
That mostly
Just
musicians.
kidding.
Mostly
No,
musicians.
Most
yeah.
musicians are
Oh, yeah, we're all
deadbeats, so you know
I'm
it's kind of.
Okay. Cool.
Uh,
Good to know.
And we've got one show to promote right now.
One show. That's pretty good.
Comparatively speaking, yeah.
For 2020.
Yeah. We're playing at 1904 Music Hall with
Yeah.
Chuck Majid on November 21st.
Ooh, awesome.
So that's
That is
gonna
going to
be
be a good
fun.
one, yeah, for sure.
And then well, that's not going to, by the time this airs, that'll be over with. So I got some gigs also. You can catch me at Monkey's Uncle on the 19th, the Garage on the 20th. And
You're going to
then,
play the garage?
yeah,
Oh,
on
I
the
can't
20th.
wait. What day of the week?
It's a Friday.
I'm there.
And then 1904, the 21st, and then that's about it for this month. So, well, by the time this airs anyways. So, yeah. You got anything you want to promote, Jessica? Any shows coming up?
We reached the entire country.
Okay.
I was going to say the world, but probably not.
So I have some things scheduled, but I am going to find out when I get back to Denver tomorrow if they're actually happening.
Oh, no. That's right. You guys are on
We just
on
shut back down on
lockdown.
Tuesday.
What, you did?
Sucks.
Yep. Tuesday they just shut back down. I've been watching it from afar.
Denver's pretty liberal. What was your reaction to coming out of Florida and seeing it? When did you get here?
Well, I came back. So I've been coming down for years, but I came back in August to do shows at Dunedin Brewery
Yeah.
and a private show down in Clearwater. And this is probably an unpopular opinion. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Let's hear it.
I love it.
You want?
I've missed it so much.
Yeah, well, like we all do. So like Florida is basically like the haven for like
Everyone in Colorado is going to be so mad
If
at me
you
for
don't-
saying this.
if you just don't care about death anymore, come to
Come on
Florida.
down to Florida. We'll take all you guys in. Well, and also we want our music scene to grow
Yeah, of
more.
course.
So we'll take all the musicians
Florida's
from Denver,
the
New
new
York.
Denver.
Saying.
Man.
Joe Marsnick just said the same thing to me
Oh
the other
my
day.
God. Yeah, he was on our podcast
all
a little
been
while
saying it,
ago,
yeah.
and he's thinking about moving down here.
Oh, he's like already planning on spending the winter here. I mean,
What's up?
Jeff Lloyd's thinking about coming back for the winter.
No
like,
kidding?
yeah, everybody. So.
He just got to Denver too.
I
He's like,
know,
he's like, fuck this, I'm out.
He's been doing so good there too, and now he's coming back.
That sucks. Well,
I
what are you
love
gonna do?
this. Yeah.
Better
But
for
I
us.
do have a show to promote, which is actually already sold out, but we will probably be doing a live stream, I believe. And that's the Last Waltz Revisited. We do that every year in Denver. Normally we do it at the Fillmore Auditorium, but since we can't have 85 musicians on it this year, they had to cut it back, and we'll be doing it outdoors at Breckenridge Brewery in
Ooh,
Littleton at the
cool.
farmhouse. It's going to be cold.
Yes.
Preparing
When
myself.
is it? In November, you said?
Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving. We do it every year.
I hear it gets a little chilly up in
It can. So, here's Denver, though, is like, it was 7 degrees last week. It should be in the 60s when I get back. So,
Yeah, see, that's something I noticed when I was out there last time is that like it was April and it was
You're
like
gonna be out there.
I'm gonna be out there, yeah.
You can go see the Last Waltz, like the band. You mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's like what, $600 for a table?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can afford that right
Chump
now.
change to
Chump-
Tony 305 over here.
I mean, it's a commodity now, and that's the crazy thing. That's what I love about Florida right now is that, you can still put on live music without it being an elitist thing.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
Yeah.
just to an
With
extent,
the
for sure,
capacities
yeah.
that they have in Denver, there are still shows happening, but you have to have it capped at between 50 and 175 people. Now, what I believe just happened on Tuesday was that 175 went to 50.
Okay.
So that's like your top number now.
Woof.
Outdoors is like 75 people.
For us or for you?
Us.
Okay.
Yeah, in Denver.
Okay.
I don't believe that that Florida. I think you guys are more at like
We're
percentage.
At 100.
We're at 100% capacity right
Okay.
now.
Come on down to Florida.
Really? So you guys don't even have like a restaurant capacity anymore?
We did, and then I think 2 weeks ago.
I'm like wearing this mask on my wrist, and I realized like DeSantis just got rid of these. So.
Yeah. That was about 3 weeks ago that you don't have to wear masks, and then it's 100% capacity.
But most places are putting the restraint on themselves, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of the music venues and the restaurants are still only doing like 50% capacity.
Yeah.
So you know.
Like 1904, I had a show on Friday, and the law is that you can let as many people as allowed, but Jason, the bar owner, he still said 50%, just because it's smart, I guess.
It's a good business decision, and a lot of people, I think, still support the social distancing.
Yeah.
So it actually helps the restaurant and the bar to be conscious of that, and
100%.
people want to support it more when they know they can feel
And
safe
it's
going
interesting,
somewhere.
too. Like you'll see that a show's like almost sold out, and then people will be like, "Oh, I don't want to go there now because there's too many people. I don't want to be a part of that."
So
Yeah.
in Denver, it's more like you have your table, and if you're up from your table, you have to have the mask on 100% of the time.
Oof.
No dancing most places. And then in some venues, we actually have to wear masks while we perform the whole time.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Goodness.
That's
so
wild.
like I
What
would
do you
have to like
sing?
hold. You want me to show you?
Yeah.
I'll demonstrate my technique.
We were talking about wearing masks on stage as well at the 1904 show. I was like, I don't even sing, and I'm not doing it.
So I use a Telefunken mic, and I have to like physically hold the mask while I do
So
it.
you pull the mask.
So I
away.
don't, because I tend to cup the mic anyways. There's a gate on my vocal pedal that I use.
Okay.
So, but I have to have it like up in there in order for the effects to come through.
Yeah.
So I'd have to like hold the mask while I sing the entire
my
time.
God.
That's wild.
I mean, I am not complaining about it because I understand that it makes people feel safe.
I
And
get it.
and also, I believe I had COVID. I was really, really sick. This is my unpopular opinion, is that I had COVID. I quarantined with people who tested positive for COVID months after I tested, like after I had COVID. I never tested for it because it was in December of last year.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah, but we play resorts, casinos.
Okay,
like
there you go.
I'm licking the ground of like Denver every week by playing in like every bar, restaurant, casino, resort, you know. I hug homeless people,
Oh,
you know,
woof.
like so definitely had pneumonia like in December, was really sick for like 6 weeks. I have scars on my toes from like the COVID toes.
Is that
What?
a thing? I've never heard that
What's
before.
COVID toes? That
where you
sound
get
like a new
blisters on
band
your
name.
toes.
You
I
get
have
blisters on your toes from what?
Look, I got these scars. They're purple.
Jesus.
What?
Anyways,
That's almost a year ago. You still got them?
yeah.
That's wild.
So, and then over the summer, 2 different times, unwittingly, wound up quarantining with people who tested positive for COVID until they tested negative, and I never got more symptoms. So I'm
Interesting.
keeping
So, yeah,
my
you
fingers
probably had it.
crossed that there's some sort of
It's
something.
so weird that you got it that early in the
Well-
like last year, like almost a year ago.
Yeah, but they're finding out now that they believe it was like starting, you know, to break out in more like September to October
Really?
of 2019. And there are a lot of business people that work in China and live in Colorado. They just like fly out once a month or something.
Well, that's like, especially in the international cities, like there was reports of people getting really sick in South Florida because Miami and Fort Lauderdale have huge airports. Then you have Denver and LA and New York and all the bigger cities were experiencing people getting really sick early on.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it's
there
just,
were
well, it's just-
2,000 flights a day going between China and the United States
Yeah.
for a long time.
So it's
If
like,
you don't think it can get on an airplane, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I still haven't been on
So-
an
It'll
airplane
be here in
yet.
12 hours.
yeah,
you know.
exactly. So that
Ugh.
it probably more realistic that it showed up last year, but we didn't get any reported because we didn't know what it was.
We
It
didn't
was
know
just
what it was.
written off.
But there were people dying in Colorado of an unknown respiratory virus for months before
Really?
they started diagnosing
No
COVID.
shit.
Absolutely. My godmother was actually in the hospital with one
Oh my
for
God.
a while in January. Yeah, but I mean, since they didn't have the strain figured out, there was no COVID test.
Right.
So they were just like, well, we don't know about what this virus is, but it's
So
putting
been
people
just
in the
walking
hospital.
around America willy-nilly for the past year, and we just didn't know about it.
I mean, not a whole year, huh?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's
been a year.
also, when you look at the way that things grow exponentially, like mathematically, it makes a lot of sense that there was just like a couple little cases here and there, and it was nothing to be super concerned about because it mostly manifested within people in a pretty mild way.
Right, yeah.
There were just some people getting really, really sick from it.
Right.
And it never overwhelmed the hospitals. It wasn't until it started overwhelming hospitals that they were like, wait, what is this?
Right.
Ever since it happened, I don't want to jinx myself, but I haven't been sick for like a year.
Same.
It's weird.
It's been very weird. I haven't gotten a cold. I usually get sick with every season. At the change of every season, I get really sick. But this year it hasn't happened once, partly because I've been inside so much and I've been able to go out.
Yeah, and I've been washing my hands
But-
all the time, which is good. I did that before.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did it more. And then I wore a mask everywhere I go and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something to it, probably.
Absolutely.
Do you think that people, because like I've always been paranoid of the end of the world, and I knew about all this stuff like when the E. coli breakout was happening like a couple years ago.
Or Ebola or E. coli?
Yeah, that one, Ebola. Well, this sounds similar. Don't give me that face.
Same.
But,
Ebola.
Ebola.
Yeah.
That's the
Watch
worst
out
combo.
for that one, baby.
Ebola and E. coli mixed together. Ebola is a great band name too. I'm coming out with a lot today.
Write it down.
I will, but I was like, oh, this is the end of the world, so I've been like ready for it, but
Yeah, and we eradicated that within the United States like super quick.
immediately, I don't know what's going on with that, but I think that do you think that like people are still like like 5 years from now, even if this is all like cured, like people are still just gonna show up at shows with face masks and hand sanitizer and all that
Some
stuff?
people probably will.
It's probably a good idea, but also like I started to realize towards the beginning of this pandemic that both of my mother's parents were born during, like my grandfather was born in 1918 and my grandmother was born in 1920. So they were both born during the Spanish flu pandemic.
Wow.
And all the stories I heard growing up were about World War II.
Right.
Now, granted, they were just born then. But, I mean, if the whole world was, like, completely paranoid and changed by the time that these guys were, like, 5 years old or so, I might have heard about it.
Right.
Like, I never heard one story about the Spanish flu from my grandmother. So, like, I have hope that we're going to get back to some semblance. I mean, I feel like a real asshole right now saying this because I've been really enjoying myself in Florida, and it's a big reason why I've been coming back and trying to build myself in this market, because I'm able to just do things like we used to in a lot of ways. And I know that people in Colorado are going to be a little disappointed to hear me say that, but I mean, that's what we've all been doing anyways this whole time. We started playing backyard parties. Like, I started playing backyard parties with really good musicians really early on, like in April, May, because they were not on tour like they should have been. And we were all going crazy just quarantining. And after a good, like, hearty 6 weeks of that quarantine, we were like, okay, let's get together.
For sure. Well, Marvin went on tour. They did a whole tour around the United States just doing backyard parties.
Oh, really?
Like that fusion, like a jazz, like a like a fusion band or whatever. And they went on tour doing it. I remember watching like during the quarantine them posting about needing last minute gigs and this and that, and I'm like, you guys are pretty ballsy. Most people don't respect that. Right? A lot of people give you shit now for playing shows and for doing anything out of town or even anything locally.
Not so much in Florida though.
It happens in Florida still.
It's a very conservative state though.
Yeah,
And they're just ready to even was it yesterday or the day before? Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. had a rally at Jacksonville Beach.
Oh, he did.
I heard about that.
Yeah, at the pavilion down there.
Yes.
I've noticed in Florida, I don't know what it's like in Colorado, but I can assume just because it's a very progressive state that in Florida, like everybody here is just mad. But I feel like it's the same kind of like temperature of angriness, but just on the other spectrum. Like they're just mad at you for opening up stuff and going out and like you're playing shows, blah blah blah.
Well, and ultimately, if you don't feel safe, then you know what to do,
right?
You know, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about that, but that's what the rules are right now. Like, if you don't want to go out, don't go out.
I get it.
Don't be mad at everybody else for, making their own decisions right now.
But here is the exact opposite. Like, people are just like fighting, like, I'm going out.
Yeah.
And like every single.
Don't make me wear a mask, you fucking commie.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, right?
Every single world star hip hop video is from Florida about them fighting about that and stuff like that. I've seen a lot, though, in Colorado about like. What I see is like there'll be like people just lined up and there'll be some Karen that doesn't have a mask on and they're like fighting them to get out of the grocery store. And
yeah, because even the big BLM protests in Denver, everybody was masked up.
Yeah.
Like, the only people unmasked were like Proud Boys, like trying to fight them.
Those are the same here though with the BLM protests. People usually that community is trying to play as much by the rules as they can, anyways. So it's like it's a lot of like people wearing. We went to one of them back in like. When it was like June or May.
It's been a wash. I don't know what months are anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone was
they like
masked
literally
up to
haven't
protest.
stopped in Denver. Like they've been going on this entire time.
Yeah, that's what we went to one in like June or July or something like that, and it was and everyone was wearing masks. It's usually like if you go out to like Middleburg, which is like south of here, and that gets real backwoodsy. That they actually start yelling at you if you're wearing masks. It's very weird.
I read this thing about how it's part of like this misogynistic view and this like really right-wing view of like wearing a mask makes you seem weak and wearing a mask is like one step closer to being an other, like you're one of them now.
Yeah.
You're like drinking the Kool-Aid, which is I think amazing that people who say that are like drinking the Kool-Aid.
It reminds me of the Star-Bellied Sneetches from Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
If you don't have a star, if you have a star on your stomach, that was a
so yeah, it's
super
like
reference.
This, like they're just like, wow, like if you're wearing a mask, then what's next? Like you're gonna support gay rights, and
right?
Like,
yeah, it's a whole thing. Like,
that doesn't make any sense.
Well, there's like. I do understand the argument of people saying that they don't want to mandate on it because of the slippery slope argument, and that's something that's I understand and I get that argument, but at the same time it's like if it means that we can get back to normal, put the fucking mask on.
Right.
I don't care, and it's not even mandated anywhere. So what are you freaking out about? It's like it's not mandated. Just you wear it or you don't.
You can get like a $1,500 fine in Denver for not wearing one on stage.
Really?
That's wild.
That's
Miami.
As a musician, like I know of a DJ at a venue that I was playing. Like the night before, I guess, got like a $1,500 fine.
Oh my
for not
God!
wearing
Well, there
one.
you go.
Even
Foot
though
in
he
my
was
mouth.
distanced outdoors, 25 feet away from the crowd.
And he wasn't wearing
Somebody
it.
came around and they have like people going around and checking.
Yeah,
like, the
homeboy spent like
venues.
3 gigs on that fine right
I
there.
know.
That
Yeah,
sucks.
I know.
don't like
And then
that
on
very
top
much.
of that, they just like made the regulations stricter even now. And I mean, I get it. People go out and they get close to each other and stuff, but I don't know if you can really blame some little bar that's got 50 people in it versus Mile High Stadium with like 7,000 people in it for a
of course.
Broncos game.
Are they letting-
They're allowing that.
That doesn't make any sense.
And they're
Oh, it
allowing
does.
schools to go back and whatnot, but like it's all of a sudden like us musicians that are like causing the spread of
I
COVID.
know it's so.
When we're the assholes that had it first.
I know,
because,
and
like,
we'll be the first. We'll be the last ones to get back to work fully, anyways. So it's complete
Right.
bullshit. Anyways, I don't want to spend all the time talking about COVID.
Why not?
So, are you from Denver originally?
Yes, I was born there.
Okay, cool. And when did you kind of start out your music career? Were you Like, were you younger and you always loved it, or just something you fell into?
You know, I've always wanted to be a singer like my entire life. I was always too shy to do it. I started out as a writer, and then in my when I was about 20, 21, I started writing beats on like an old drum and bass machine. And then at like 26 is when I started singing.
Oh shit. So you were actually doing like production work before you were
A little bit, like, you know, low key, like, yeah, I guess it is production work.
building
I don't need
beats
to talk
and,
it
like,
down. Yeah, I was
yeah,
producing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was learning how.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then when I started to sing, you know, I had some people kind of be like, well, you know, I can't be your vessel, or like you're a little too raw. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just write my own beats and add my own lyrics that I wrote years ago to them. And that's like basically what Chromadonna is, that album that I put out last year with James Dom. It was songs that I had written like 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Wow.
And
you wrote the chord progressions, and you wrote like
a lot of
everything?
them. Yeah, there are a couple bass lines that I didn't write, but yeah, for the most part, I wrote like the drum and bass lines. I wrote like the horn parts on this Hammond organ that I have at home.
That's
Were you
awesome.
self-taught, learning like music theory and
I
everything?
can't even
Awesome.
read music anymore. Like as a kid, I took lessons on the piano for like a year,
Okay.
and then I was just, I really all I wanted to do was like improv
Yeah.
and play around on it.
Yeah,
And
me too.
you know, the people that I like, the adults I was around were like, no, you have to learn it in order to do it. And I just kind of put it back down and then picked it up when I got older because I couldn't stay away from it.
So were you into like hip hop or anything like that? Typically, making
yes.
beats is not something that you get into if you're not into hip hop.
Yeah, so I definitely grew up really in love with rap, hip hop, punk even, you know. That's been the biggest influence in my life, as well as like James Brown, like funk. Like when I think I was like 12 years old, my dad sat me down and made me listen to like an entire Funkadelic album, like an entire Parliament album.
Oh yeah.
You know, because he wanted me to learn the one. He's a drummer, you know, so he's like, you gotta learn about the one, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm eternally grateful for that. Like when I did this show with Bernie Worrell when I was a little younger, like I was so excited to play with him because I knew his music, and it was
Yeah, of
because like
course.
as a kid I had to listen to that stuff.
Yeah, Joe was talking about Bernie last time when he was on here too.
Really?
And just as a keyboardist, I'm just like, that's pretty cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
got to meet Bernie Worrell.
He was such a sweet man.
Yeah.
But then,
RIP.
yeah, I was originally like my first like deal was on Universal Records with a rap group that had like a viral video. It went viral in like Australia.
Really? What was the
Ew,
video?
yeah.
Oh my god! So it was called "Who's Next" by Cola Diva Lyrics,
Holiday.
and we eventually formed a group called the Ingenious Code, based on that because we had basically all met in the studio. It was me, Cola, and this man named Harold James, who is also still doing rap music. He's great. They signed us. It was like super exciting, and then we like broke up. And I spent some time working in just hip hop and kind of, you know, I felt good about it. Like I made good connections. I had a lot of fun making music improvisationally with people, but like career wise, it was just a hobby. Cause like there's really not a lot of money in hip hop unless you're like got a big name for yourself.
Tough scene, yeah, for
It
sure.
really is tough. And when I started to break into bands is when it went from like being a hobby to like more of a full-time career for me.
You made the switch into like, I don't want to say like organic music or anything like that, but into bands is what you're
Yeah,
trying to say,
like
not
and with
hip-hop.
jazz bands, like I played in the oldest jazz club in Denver, El Chapultepec, for the last 7 years every Sunday with some really killer musicians
Oh,
who have
that's
all
awesome.
been in there
Sounds
for like
great.
20, 30 years. And I mean, one of them's like a Grammy winner, and one of them played with Bootsy Collins, and like these guys were like heavy cats, and they kind of brought me up. There were other younger jazz musicians that like wouldn't give me the time of day.
Right.
When you're young and you're a jazz cat, I get it. Like they're all trying to make a name for themselves. So it was really nice to fall in with this older set of musicians who were willing to like work with me and let me improvise and
Yeah, well, that's
come
what's
up.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
So that's kind of what I liked about the jazz scene, but didn't like about the jazz scene. Also, is that like the older guys, and not even older, but like once you start getting into your later 20s, early 30s, and beyond, you kind of gain a little bit more acceptance for people. But like when you're in that school age of like 18 to 22.
Yep. Because I lived at Berklee School of Music for a couple of years while I went to UMass Boston.
Oh, you did?
Yes. And like those kids are amazing.
Yeah.
But like the pretension was also like thick
Well,
sometimes.
yeah, it's like if you're not doing this way, you're not doing this that way, then we don't want anything to do with you. And it's not until you're older where you get your ass kicked a couple times by people that aren't necessarily as good as you technically. And then you kind of get humbled and you start to realize the importance of every style of music and like what their contribution is to music, that you really gain the appreciation for people that are just trying to kind of figure it out.
100%.
You know, so that also doesn't really exist though without going through that experience, which a lot of the jazz people get, you know, through their
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
I mean, it's the cutting your teeth. It's the baptism by fire, you know. And that was one of my favorite parts about El Chapultepec was, and eventually we'll get back in there, but right now they don't have the 25 feet and they can't have like socially distant. The stage is like tiny. We would fit 6 musicians in the stage, like smaller than this room, like every week, you know.
Wow.
And they would just like, I would throw people to the wolves, you know, and that's what happened to me was like some people were like, all right, this girl sings, get her up there. You know, and I didn't know what they knew, and we were just improvising, and either it's good or it's not. And if they love you, then they're going to make you stay for another song, and that's how you get, like, initiated in. And, I mean, I've watched them, like, laugh at people who I brought to sit in, you know, on stage. Like, it's baptism by fire. They're like, either you got it or you don't. And then that person came in a few months later after having sat down, being humbled a little bit, and threw down, and then those guys were like, all right, now you got it. I mean, the bass player at that band, Chris Harris, I think in 7 years probably like complimented me 4 or 5 times. And every time he did, I'd be like, I did it. Like and it would be something so simple as him being like, like that's all I would hear in the middle of a song, and I'd be like, I did it.
Yep. That's an important experience to have though, honestly, because you need that humility. A lot of people walk in with like a big chest and they haven't done anything yet. And if you come in and you don't really know how to hang, and you come in with that kind of attitude, and you can't hang, then that's when they start like that's when you don't get called back up.
Eat you up, man. They'll eat you up.
And it's like it's really easy to kind of get stuck in your career if you don't ever break that mindset. You get a couple tries, you know. It's like you show up with a big head and you can't hang. That you get like, you know, you get some kind of like, I guess, pass a couple of times. After a while, it's just like if you don't show up and do better the next time, or you show any kind of progress, and you just get, you know, you kind of alienate yourself from the scene a little bit.
Absolutely.
And humility is probably the most important part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Beyond ability or beyond anything, humility and a good work ethic.
And if you're smart too, like getting embarrassed or whatever you want to call it while you're on stage like that, it just makes you want to go home and be like, I'm not feeling that way again. I'm going up there, and it's like, you know,
after you lick your wounds a little bit, it does make you like study harder and try harder.
It's like Rudy.
Yeah.
It is like Rudy. I love that movie.
It's my favorite
Rudy.
Yeah. He's never seen it. He doesn't know what
I saw Rudy.
He doesn't know what football is.
Not a football fan, I will
Never heard
say.
of
I'm not really big into the sports balls, but you know.
Not at all. But yeah, just like Rudy, I cry every time he gets into Notre Dame.
Cry every time.
When he gets into Notre Dame, when he's not sitting on the
You're
park
like,
bench.
buddy, you did it.
You're all
They
right,
gave you the Jersey dog. You
Here he's in. He's in. Apparently, that movie is like completely fake though.
Like it's not based on a true story at all.
Well, they carried him off on their shoulders as a joke. Sorry to ruin it for you, but that's I know.
Oh man,
I know. I had to learn about it too. And
you
then like
shattered my childhood
I know.
dreams.
I'm sorry, but that's
It's like
exactly,
finding out Santa Claus
That's
isn't
exactly
real.
what I know. That's how I felt too when I heard about it. But what I was trying to say is yeah, getting your ass handed to you at like a jam or something like that. You're like, okay, fuck, I've got to go back home and practice.
Yeah.
Either you go, it's defeatism, or you go back home and you try really hard.
Yeah.
So it makes you better either way.
Yeah.
Or gets you out of our way.
Yeah, exactly.
Elitism.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
snap.
just kidding.
I mean, it is that though. It is that.
I'm sure you're a big fan of that.
I am a big fan of that because
you're an elitist.
well, I am a little elitist, but I feel like if you're in something that I feel like if you're a part of doing something, you should have a certain standard for what you do and hold yourself to a certain
Sure.
standard and hold the people that you surround yourself with to a certain standard.
For any
if somebody,
career or anybody like that, like, if
Exactly.
you're not doing your absolute best, what are you doing?
yeah,
True.
Get
if,
out of the way.
if you're not willing to educate yourself on
and be open.
Yeah, be open and educate yourself. You know, it's like if you come in with a bad attitude about something and you don't want to learn from that, or you come in just saying like for me, it's really important to educate yourself on the different genres of music and try and learn like what those genres are about. When you close yourself off to an entire genre just because like you don't get it at first or you don't give it a shot, you're doing yourself a huge disservice as a musician. You know, so like from hip hop to country to pop music to the jam community, it's all stuff that you should be paying attention to just to make yourself better overall.
And that's 100% how I have built my career is, you know, I went through that baptism by fire. I've had those nights where I felt like I was trash on the jam and came back and was like, what can I do to like build this up or make this better? And I literally have built a name for myself by never saying no to anything.
Yeah.
I do country. I'm going back and I'm going to do a Neil Diamond tribute at the Buffalo Rose. We're doing Forever in Blue Jeans. But,
Well, you were cool.
you know,
No, I'm just kidding. Neil Diamond's all right.
Billy
He's
just
all right.
doing the
He's
exact
all right.
opposite.
He's
we
all
talked
right.
about.
He's all right. I'm just messing around. He has some great songs.
but you know what, though? When I first took that gig, I was like, man, this is so corny. Because I come from
corny.
like, my dad's like a Detroit rocker. Like, I come from like this hip hop life.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh man, this is going to be so corny. And I swear every time I'm on stage, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
just get into
loving
it.
it. I love the music now. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. I have a great time with the band.
Oh, I'm sure it's a lot
That's
of
kind of
fun.
how I felt about the Grateful Dead, honestly. Where I was just like, this music is just like, oh, come on.
I
And then I
know.
learned how to play it.
And then you're like,
I'm just
all right,
oh,
that's not so bad.
I get it. This is
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play.
It's
for
a lot
sure.
of like just as a musician, it's so much fun to play. But when before I knew anything about it, I would just hear it. I'm just like, what are people really like?
Absolutely.
People are just listening to this? Like for real? Like for real?
And it's not stuff that I necessarily just put on to listen to,
No.
but like I really have enjoyed
I know.
all of the Grateful Dead sets.
That's
I
weird.
actually, the first Red Rock show I ever did was a Grateful Dead set.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's an important thing to learn about as a musician, especially in the jam scene. You know, where it's it all starts really from that band.
Growing older as a musician, or just no matter where you start, like you start appreciating things more. But then, like just being older as an adult, you start to do like, for example, I just kind of gave Bruce Springsteen a pass. I was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't really care. But then, like something happens when you're 30 as a man. It's like if you're not a dad yet, you just start liking dad music or dad rock. And I'm just like, Bruce Springsteen.
It started like
Fox, he's
leak
a
into you
great
around
guy.
like 29 and a half.
Yeah,
You started listening
right
to The
there.
Boss.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
started listening to the boss. I'm like, everything he's ever written is amazing.
Yeah.
I love Bruce Springsteen. now.
I saw Springsteen when I was like in 6th grade. My dad took me to go see him, and I thought it was amazing back then. The whole show was just like, this guy is like on another level, like just a great performer, great songwriter, good singer. Wasn't much of a guitar or isn't much of a guitar player, but I mean, just like overall as like a band leader and just like persona,
Makes
he's
you
amazing.
happy, the music.
Yeah, and my pops would put it on when I like driving around in a pickup truck in Kentucky, and I'd be like 9 years old. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Put on Coldplay. I was 9. I grew up in the 90s.
Put
Give
on
me a break.
Coldplay, who doesn't suck.
Who
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
suck. And I was just stupid. Whatever. At least I'll admit it.
When I lived at Berkeley, he did the first ever concerts at Fenway Park.
Oh, really?
And we
Dope.
lived next to Fenway
Nice.
Park. It was the loudest shit I have ever. In our apartment, we would have to yell at each other to hear each other.
Oh, my God.
It was so goddamn loud.
Yeah, but that's probably definitely bucket list. I want to go see him,
Yeah, you should
especially
for
with
sure.
the E Street Band and everything like that. And
For
he's
sure.
getting old now. I wonder how old Springsteen
Well, Clarence
is.
Clemens isn't around anymore, so he died.
Is a
like,
saxophone player?
Yep.
Yeah.
The singer in my dad's band used to play in his band called Temple of Soul, and he I think Clarence passed away probably almost 10 years ago now.
We should do a Boss cover, man.
I'd love to. It'd be
I
fun.
learned how to play Atlantic City and sing it.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at singing. But
Well,
I
you
can
know,
sing
you're getting
that
there,
song.
bud. Don't
I can
worry.
sing that song.
You're
though.
singing. Yep. And,
Okay.
and Creep by
I'll bust out
Radiohead.
those harmonies for you.
Yeah, he can do it too. Yeah, but Atlantic City, I didn't even know that was. I thought that was the band, but it's not. It's Bruce
Yeah.
It's a
Springsteen.
Bruce
And then what's the
Springsteen
other
tune.
one? The rolled up like a deuce, something in the night,
Which one?
blinded by the
Oh,
light.
Blind by a Night. Yeah, it's a Springsteen tune
That's
also.
a Springsteen
Oh,
song.
wow.
I didn't know that. I thought that was the other guy. Whoever that other guy.
Thank God you don't know his name because I don't either right now. But go on.
But like, yeah, he's great. But we should learn Rosalita is what I want to do.
That'd be a great one to do.
That's
Yeah.
a hard one though. It's a long one.
So you were living on the Berkeley campus. Were you going to school there, or did you go?
Yeah, I went to UMass Boston, but I was living with Berkeley musicians like right in Fenway there at Berkeley.
Were you
That's
going to
amazing.
school for music, or were
No,
you, what were you
I
going
was
to
going to
school
school for linguistics.
for? Okay.
I actually went to college for 11 years. I started at 15 years old and dropped out at 26. Never got a degree, not even an associate's degree. And I lived with these Berkeley musicians because I was dating one. He's an incredible musician. We're still friends. And I just soaked it up. I loved being around them. My parents were musicians. My dad used to drum for he was like a studio drummer for A&M Records out of like Tennessee, and played for like Sha Na Na and Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, that's awesome.
Toured a lot, and then settled in Denver. Met my mom, had kids. My mom was a guitar player and like an opera singer. So I'm pretty sure that's like how I learned music, was just being around them, because I never really took much along the lines of lessons. But
It's just always around.
yeah, and you soak it up, and that's how I
Totally.
felt about being around the Berkeley kids. And for so long though, because I was around them, I thought you had to go to music school in order to be a musician.
Yeah.
And then I was actually hanging out with Galactic. I was dating somebody who was rapping with them on this album called From the Corner of the Block. And I wound up doing like a really quick studio session with them one day on something that never got used. And I got to go on jam cruise with them. And I remember really beating myself up about school at the time. And Ben Ellman and Stanton Moore were like, you should try singing. And I was 26 at the time, and I was like, okay. So, and then I broke up with the rapper on Jam Cruise.
Nice. That's the hardest way to break up with somebody on a boat.
It was
for
amazing.
sure.
It was amazing.
And then I started an entire singing career out of spite
That's
to just I'm gonna show him.
that's awesome.
And now he's one of my best friends and been
Nice
my
guy.
mentor for years in the
That's
music
awesome.
scene. And
what a
yeah,
what a great way to
No
make that
wrath like a
relationship
woman scorned.
without burning
we're like
bridges or
Jerry and
anything.
Elaine.
Mm, cool.
Like it's
Interesting.
not gonna happen with us anymore, but we could talk about everybody else.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, was he the rapper that was on Liquor Pang, It's one of my favorite Galactic songs.
Mr. Liff.
It might be, I don't know.
So there was Boots Riley, Mr. Liff, and I love that you know the names of those songs because I watched that set like 70 times and I couldn't tell you the name of a single song on that album. But it was Charlie Tuna, Mr. Liff, Boots
Yeah.
Riley, Juvenile was on that album.
Shit, that's cool.
And I got to go, like, I stayed for a couple weeks in New Orleans with them. And then I got to go on Jam Cruise. Like, I saw this show that they did in Mobile, Alabama one night. It was like the most bananas scenario I've ever seen, like
What
at
was
a
it
Galactic.
at by any chance, if you remember?
What is that place called?
Because Chris Poland, not our sax player.
It's like a big warehouse venue right there, and like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well,
It's like the venue in Mobile.
Our friend Chris, a sax player who was just on a few weeks ago, was talking about seeing Galactic, opening up for Galactic at this venue in Mobile, like years ago, with this band called Fusebox Funk.
Okay.
And he was talking about.
It was my new birthday is New Year's Eve, so it was like the 30th of December. I remember that much.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact
Okay.
date. That'd be crazy if that was.
That was the same show.
Yeah.
I just remember like a third of that town was at that show because the next day walking down the street, like Liv could not walk to anywhere without getting stopped, and everybody was like, nice show, nice show. But then of course like they wouldn't like serve us in the restaurant, but
Yeah.
they would loved his show.
All right.
It was amazing. That was the first time I really ever experienced that. Was in Mobile, Alabama too. I was like,
That's so crazy that would happen.
it still exists. Yeah, where the man can't walk down the street without like 17 people stopping him and being like incredible.
Yeah.
And then you go to order food in a restaurant. They'll take your order, but they will not bring you anything.
That is wild.
Woof.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Well, welcome to the South. What can I say?
Oh man. But you know what? The first time I ever really saw super outright racism was actually in Boston.
Oh yeah, 'cause, Northeast.
Apparently,
It's
that's the most
wild up
racist
there.
city in the country. Is
Ah.
what is rated.
I watched people spit. I was a camp counselor for the YMCA there, and I watched people spit at the children that I
Yeah,
was like.
That
walking
is
with,
crazy.
you
Those
know.
old school Irish Catholics, man, they don't fuck around.
Don't talk shit about the Irish.
I'm just saying, those are your people, not
The
mine.
old school ones.
Old school.
Just
I'm
the
n-
old school.
Those
I'm
old
new school
is-
Irish.
You're new school Irish. You're also from Kentucky, which
Born
I
and
guess is
raised.
not
Want to
much.
fight about it?
One day somebody's gonna say yes to that question. Just saying.
Maybe he does want to fight about it.
So what was
Yeah.
the trajectory of your career? What's it kind of been like? Just going to jams and then being part
Yeah.
of creative projects, getting hired for gigs. Like, what was the kind of trajectory like?
So I started out like, honestly, just being like super grateful for anybody even like giving me the time of day and allowing me to like hold a microphone on their stage.
Yeah.
You know, and I would sit in at El Chapultepec with Tony Black and the musicians there, and I would do like random little studio sessions here and there with friends who had like just put together their home studio kind of a thing. And the first paid gig I ever had was actually in Winter Park, Colorado. Somebody was in El Chapultepec watching me like freestyle with a jazz band one night, and they play like funk and stuff too. And he offered me some gigs in the mountains, and so then I wound up in the mountains of Colorado for a few years, about 6 years I want to say, where I was really developing myself as an artist, playing with different bands in Winter Park and then over in Keystone, Colorado. And eventually when I moved back to Denver, within the first month that I moved back to Denver like full time, I had been hired by like 10 different bands to
Wow.
just do stuff. Which was great because then it turned into actually my job. And about 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I actually quit my day job because I was already singing full time and it was just like a lot.
A lot, yeah.
And then I've been singing full time ever since. But yeah, it started out with obviously just going to jams, doing things for free. And I mean, that's what I was doing at Monster Mash. I actually bought a ticket to that concert.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like jambushed that festival.
Yeah.
Because I knew that Joe, Marcinek, and Rosie were going to be there, and I've played with both of them, but that was it. I
Yeah.
had never played with any of those other bands.
You sat in with like almost everybody.
I sat in with like 5 or 6 bands.
Yeah.
And they play at the end. Did
What's
you?
that? No, not on the Monster
I
Jam.
was really drunk by that point.
I was invited by Bryant, the trombone player.
Yeah,
He's
Bryant.
going to come to the jam tonight, actually.
Oh, he is.
Aw,
I love
man.
Bryant, man. He's so good.
I want to quit my job today.
But, by then also, I think I had started to partake a little bit. And
Yeah.
I don't blame
figured
you.
that I would leave it to the people who had actually rehearsed that set to do that.
Well, that's just that's hilarious.
Bro.
You gotta leave them on a high note, baby. You can't be going out there messing things up, right?
Yeah.
It's like George Costanza when he's like leaves on the high note. You know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah,
well,
leave on
he just walks out of the room, goes home for the day.
Yeah.
That was
It
me.
ended out being really okay.
Fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I had a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I was very drunk. I was lighting cigarettes and smoking on stage. That's how I was enjoying that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I shouldn't talk about it too much, but I was pretty high as fuck the entire weekend.
I was like,
It was incredible.
That's all right. Don't
it's
worry about
that's
it.
what festivals are all about. It's actually one of my. I'm going to talk about my unpopular opinion later on. We can get into that a little bit, but it's something to do with that more or less.
I have a question about Denver and Colorado in general. So you grew up there, you started your music career there, and everything like that. What is it like? Like, where do you go after Colorado? You know what I mean? Like the next like big city I've always thought is like Las Vegas, I guess. Like, do you
Yeah.
like do you go out
LA
to
or
the
New
West?
York. Everybody's always trying to go to LA or
So,
New York.
but it just must be really hard, like starting up there as a band
And touring and stuff.
and touring and everything like that, and reaching out.
So it's interesting that you should say that. So when I first started singing, everybody was telling me, well, you got to go to LA or New York in order to have
Yeah.
any sort of a career. And I remember just being like, I have this feeling that like Denver is going to be the next up. And then, within a few years after that, like Lettuce moved there, and like cats from like Eddie Roberts moved there, and like all of these like heavy musicians started to just straight up move to Colorado and work out of there. And now we have an incredible scene. And I know that part of it is because it's so collaborative. People are really inviting, just like they are here.
Yeah.
And that's why Florida is going to be the new Denver, because you
Yeah.
guys are open. But you guys also already have multiple scenes too, because like Denver is like the scene in Colorado.
It's just Denver.
Whereas you guys actually have like a Jax scene, a scene in Orlando, a scene in like the Tampa area.
St. Pete is awesome.
Yeah, St.
Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah.
Like, and then you've got Miami down there, and whereas Colorado is like, there's a little bit of a scene in Boulder, maybe a little bit of one in Colorado Springs, but it's Denver,
Yeah.
And a lot of the musicians that play in the resorts like Vail and stuff are coming up from Denver to do so. So I've been really lucky basically creating a full-time freelance career by like singing with like 15 bands a month. And just sometimes I don't sing with the same band twice in a year.
Yeah.
But there are enough working artists and musicians and people coming into town, like national artists that'll need somebody to do something on this set, and word of mouth will get around and they'll wind up hiring me. That's how I met Marcus Rizak. Like, he wanted to do these
I
two
love him.
Hendrix albums,
Yeah.
like back to back night, like one night one of them and the next night the next one. And he had never met me, but a woman named Tanya Shylock had given him my number. And
I reached out to him. If you know him, could you please tell
I've been
him?
playing with him all summer.
Can you please tell him to make another Digital Tape Machine record?
Marcus?
Thank you. Because I'm probably the only one that has it on vinyl too. I loved that record.
You hear this?
I even reached out to him too on Snapchat because I follow him on Snapchat. I'm just like, please make it again. And he just did that one, and he played at Bear Creek, and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got to talk to him for like a little bit and everything.
Oh, man,
like
I'm
that.
gonna tell him
But he's
right
a great
now.
he's a great
Text
guitarist. I love him.
He's great. So actually, that was my first like quarantine bubble pop, was going and playing with Marcus Rizak, Dave Watts from the Motet,
Yeah, he has been on tour. I've been watching. He's like on planes and shit all the time still.
Casey Russell from the Magic Beans, and then Brian F. Adams.
I love that band too. The Magic Beans is great.
From Great American Taxi and Dead Fist Orchestra. We wound up getting together in Dave Watts' basement for like a couple nights a week, every week for a couple months. And we went to we went and rented a cabin for a few days in the woods and just like got high as shit and wrote some shit and jammed out for a few days. And those guys kept me from going insane. Like, getting like a month, 6 weeks in, when you're used to playing 7 days a week, it was like a big relief to have a group of people to play with. And yeah, so I got to do some Shred Is Dead concerts this summer, and we did one on a boat. And but it was like a boat that had a blown engine. So they towed us around the marina with like another boat. And all the people on shore and in their own boats could like watch and hear us. The
so
COVID
crazy.
like concert scene has been really interesting. Like, what
It's
the
been a lot-
creative stuff that people are coming up with.
Interesting is definitely the right word for it.
Yeah, for sure. It's leave it up to musicians to get creative about how to put on
Yeah.
a show.
Have you done any drive-in stuff yet?
So I went to Marc Riviere
Oh my God!
in Fort Collins. It was like the first one that they did in Colorado,
Right.
which was really interesting because at the time I was with Dave Watts, who had like Sirius XM radio in his truck. So there was a delay.
Oh.
And it was like bouncing off of everybody else's. It was like awful. So we were like, okay, it's totally against the rules, but we're going to go walk around.
Yeah.
And we went and found some other friends and we're at their car for a while, in order to hear it. But that was our biggest beef with the situation, was that there needed to be like a central PA so that everybody could hear the same thing because at the time it was just supposed to be on there.
What's interesting is
now
like
the Magic Beans are doing it with a PA and a lot of other bands.
like back in the day, like drive-in movie theaters, at every single one of the parking spots that you would drive up to had a little speaker on it so you could watch it.
Yeah, and they don't have those anymore, so you tune into your radio on your stereo.
Exactly, but there's always going to be a delay or anything like that because it's radio, not instant or
Right.
electric. But Mark Rebier, you know who he is?
No.
He's
I
he's the
love
guy that does
him.
the looping thing, and he's like,
God, I
"Let
love
me
him.
in, I'm trying to fuck."
Oh, okay, yeah.
That guy,
I know what you're talking about.
He's
It's time for Grandma.
oh my god, he has more energy on the planet than I don't know.
He's extremely
Whitney
talented
Houston,
too.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, they had him. So like the beginning of his set was like him going through the entire crowd on a golf cart that was all lit up, and he had like a wireless mic just going up and down the rows.
He's
So
incredible.
everyone could see him like up close. But it was also like they had him on a green screen like near the bathrooms. Like, it was kind of strange how they had him set up. Because, like, the Magic Beans did a drive-in at the same place, but actually set up a stage where you could see them from your car and stuff. Like, I think they're figuring a lot of stuff out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's such
As
a
we
new
go.
thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
It's very interesting because it's like we keep on thinking there's gonna be light at the end of the tunnel. Like there's gonna, like so I feel like people aren't trying that hard to find a solution to all the corona.
Do you see,
social
like, the
distancing
bubble
show?
concerts, like the Flaming Lips, like...
No, I didn't see
bubble-
that one.
Like, where
I-
everybody was in, like, the big plastic
oh my god.
bubbles.
I
No.
didn't see that,
That
but
sound-
that
that sounds
sounds
You
about
looked
right.
really excited about that when I just told you.
Well, it just sounds
know.
about right about the Flaming Lips trying something new or
Yeah.
anything. That seems like them for sure.
That's kind of a cool idea, though. I mean, if you get, I don't know how you're gonna, like, how it's gonna sound being inside a plastic bubble, but
That's a great... yeah, and the band was in the bubbles, too.
oh, for real?
Yeah, it
They were
was
probably
really
using
weird.
in-ears though, so they
Yeah.
were probably had it all figured out. But like, yeah, I don't know.
But did you perform for one of those things or no? You just went to one.
No, I actually just attended that. I haven't
Okay.
performed at a drive-in yet. I have done some very interesting setups though so far. Lots of outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
I think that boat set was one of the weirdest.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did do that. Well, do people come up in the boats to see you, or they just were watching from the shore?
There were people in their own boats on the lake, and then people were watching from shore, and then they kind of towed us around so that everybody had a chance to. Because we had the PA was on top of the boat.
Sounds like an awful
Wow.
YouTube music video.
It was amazing.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Yeah, I mean, and then you get your typical like beer garden distance stuff too, and
Yeah.
and then there have been places in Colorado where like I've done like weddings and stuff where they're the only people wearing masks are like the staff.
Right.
Where people kind of get away with whatever as long as it's on private property.
Have we done any socially distanced shows?
Technically,
No. is the
Monster
answer.
Mash.
Monster Mash.
That was very socially distant.
Monster Mash was definitely. socially distant.
Technically, not really. No, everything we've done has just been like, Florida started opening back up like in May, and then there was something happened at a bar here that got like national news.
Oh yeah.
And
Lynch's.
like a group of like 15 people ended up getting COVID.
And then we
because-
played their La Ponte Guy thing.
Yeah, well
I
then
love
they,
Lynch's.
they,
Yeah,
they
you
sh-
know-
Oh, I
you know-
jam-bushed that stage one night with some poor band. I was like, let me
You
come
say
sing.
jam-bushed?
Yeah.
That's a great fucking.
That's the first time you heard that?
That's a great word.
Jam-bush
Yeah.
Jones right here, baby.
Jam. I love that name.
That's a great name.
Shit.
That's what they were calling me because when Tom Laws found out that I was like sitting in on all these sets and he had never heard of me, he's
Yeah.
like, who the hell are you? Like,
Yeah.
And then that's what they were calling me on the guest list.
So funny. Well, as like a freelance singer, what's the day to day like for you? Do you actively reach out to people to find gigs, or are you just getting phone calls?
I've been very lucky. I just get phone calls. I'm
That's
like super
awesome.
terrified to
Fuck
reach
yeah.
out for
Good
booking.
for you.
Yeah, and I've gotten like that. It's snowball, but it's because I never say no to anything.
Yeah.
Like people are like, "Do you want to do Neil Diamond? You want to do Led Zeppelin? Hey, why don't you come sing backups on this Pink Floyd tribute that's gonna do 4 on the floor disco Pink Floyd? Like just the weirdest stuff." And I'm always like, "Yes."
Well,
yes.
now, do you never say no because you're getting offers, or do you never say no just because you want the experience? Because sometimes,
Both.
okay, because like, I find myself in certain scenarios where I'm like, I will turn something down if I'm busy and I know that like there's no financial gain from it. It's I honestly just don't have the time to do this right now.
Yeah.
So it's like I try and say yes to as much as I can, but I've also been doing this for a long time. I'm just like, if it's not gonna be worth it financially, if I'm not really into the project, like my heart's not into it, then I'm probably not gonna do it.
Right.
But you just do whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, I've worked my way up to the point now where I can say no if it's not going to pay anything at all.
Okay.
You know?
So you're not just doing like free gigs just because you want to. Okay, I see what you're
No,
saying.
I make a living doing music.
Yeah.
But a typical like week for me is, you know, pretty much I kind of look at the week and I see where I have to be and when, and I got to get my hair and wardrobe. You know, you guys just get to show up in jeans and a t-shirt.
What are you talking
sons
about?
of
I
bitches.
thought about this look
You
all
don't
day.
even
Look
have
great
to
in that
do all
flannel,
this
bro.
shit.
Thank you.
So
It's
anyway,
only like 6 years old.
loving the flannel.
so there's like, you know, like
Salvation Army.
the appearance part of it. So I always
Yeah.
have to make sure that I have like my costumes or my outfits and stuff ready and my makeup together, especially if it's like I'm traveling. But I have like a road dog life, but mostly just in the state of Colorado. Like I do fly dates. I've played in, you know, New York and LA and Chicago and Iowa and Florida, and you know that's how I wound up in Florida in August, was doing like Dunedin Brewery and some other like that
Who'd you
other
play with
private
there?
party. Dave Watts from the
Oh.
Motet, Jason Han from String Cheese. We
Yeah.
had Jeff Lloyd from the Heavy Pets, Matt Lapham from
We love
Roosevelt.
Matt. We're getting him
Love-
on next.
And
He's
that
my
was the
favorite.
first time I had met Matt and Jeff.
He's fucking hilarious.
And I got their names mixed up and introduced them as the wrong people on
Oh,
stage.
really?
Like on the live stream, I'm like, oops.
And everyone there is just like, I don't think that's right.
Jeff, God bless him. He was like, it's Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Matt probably wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, Matt probably. I'll be Jeff for you.
He
no
didn't
problem.
say anything to me. Yeah,
exactly.
but Matt's a beast.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And it was a blast playing with him this weekend again too. But yeah, so a typical week is like just like anybody who does any sort of like contract work, you know, you kind of just look at like, what are my stops this week, you know? And some weeks I'm flying somewhere, some weeks I'm just driving somewhere, some weeks I'm literally just around Denver. A typical week for me would be like 3 to 7 gigs and like maybe a studio session, you know, because I'll get hired to do stuff like that for people. Can't read, so I don't teach.
Yeah, I feel that. I can't
So
read, so I don't
Do
teach
you have
either.
an agent or anything like that?
No,
You just
but I
do it
work
yourself?
for about 5 or 6 agencies
Okay.
as a you know, private like subcontractor.
Yeah, contractor. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's great.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're able
Seems
to
like
make
you
it.
made it.
You know what?
How
and
do
like,
you do it?
That's the thing. And then I come here and like, God bless them, people are like, well, we've never heard of you. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Cause like I have made like a whole living in Colorado just
Yeah.
doing that. But I want to break into more of a national market.
Sure, yeah.
And, Florida this summer has been that for me. Like I've spent about 6 weeks down here already since August, you know, just flying back and forth.
Yeah, well,
I'm
it seems like
I'm sure you'll find spots down here.
Oh,
to
but I'm
play
getting
at.
like so much love. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys
Of
are
course, yeah.
such a like charismatic community of musicians,
Yeah.
and you guys are giving and sharing. Like when you go to LA, they're like, "Who do you work for?" You know, and they want to hear you say like Maroon 5, or
Yeah.
they're not trying to hear it. you
yeah, it's
know?
very pop oriented.
I work for
yeah.
Maroon 5.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I came.
That's
Yeah.
why I can't.
I'm trying to get clout.
One
Oh,
Love.
s-
I did that. Bum, bum, bum,
Yeah,
bum,
you did that.
Was you?
bum, bum. That piano
Sick.
part. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and
1997.
in New York, they're just trying to hear about like you name drop, and you know.
Yeah.
And in Denver, they're like, I've never heard you before. Why don't you come up on our set? You
Yeah.
know, like it's just love. Like
Yeah.
so, and that's the way Florida is, and I felt really at home here. And
That's why I moved to Jacksonville, to be honest, because like down south, even in Miami, it's a very competitive scene because there is an interesting industry that exists there, and I'm very big on making this distinction between music scenes and music industry because LA is an industry, doesn't really have a whole like a big scene, but like but like other places have like kind of like Denver has kind of like both. So it's like in Miami you have like this weird industry there of like Latin pop artists and like there's a pop like community there, but coming up is very hard because you're competing with all these people on an international level. And as a local musician, there's not a lot of places, and they're not going to invite you up to their sets.
Right.
Like, it's not very collaborative.
I
It's
don't
all
know,
very
though.
competitive.
I think for a singer though, it probably.
Yeah, when you look cute, it's a totally no. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but like that's how I got my foot in the door in like New Orleans, for instance. I flew down to Jazz Fest with like nothing on the bill.
Yeah.
And last year wound up with 11 sets because like I knew people, and that gets your foot in the door.
Sure.
But then you get like one musician to vet you to another one, and it snowballs.
Right.
Like, you'll be sitting backstage with somebody, and somebody will be like, yeah, she's good, and they'll be like, well, we got this set tomorrow. You want to come through? And the next thing you know, you're doing 2 sets a night with Mono Neon and like Sput, and like I was having a good time down there. I wish like I got to play with like the whole Nth Power and like
they're amazing.
Mike
too.
Dillon, some really cool people.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike Dillon's an awesome guy too.
Yeah.
But Florida does have this really incredible kind of community within especially between Jacksonville, Orlando, and St. Pete, Tampa area. It's like
Not
all
so much
one
Miami,
big
though, I would say.
it's so
like, you're
far
right, 'cause like you said, it's not really music scene, it's music production.
industry kind
that's
of
what I'm
weird,
trying to say.
and it's also just like so far removed, like
Yeah.
not just geographically but culturally as
Yeah.
well. So there's a lot of it's just like and a lot of musicians down there don't really leave there unless it's like a big touring like international
it's the
kind of
Denver
thing.
of Florida.
Yeah, it's just
Rosie was telling me too that a lot of touring musicians don't want to come down there because it's such a long drive in and out.
Exactly.
It's like a
It's
12-hour
8 hours.
commitment.
Yeah, so like from Miami, your next biggest like A market would be like Atlanta, which
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah,
So
that's much better.
like if you're in Jacksonville, St. Pete, or Orlando, it's just like we've kind of built this weird triangle in Florida where there's just a lot of good musicians, and between the 3 cities, there's a really good scene. And when I moved to Jacksonville, it was like, well, musicians are really cool, even if they're really good, and like they're not snobby about it. Like they're willing to let you get up and like play and jam
Right.
and do this whole thing, give you a chance. So I came here and I was
yeah.
just like, holy shit, I get a chance. And through that, I got plugged into the festival scene. I've met all kinds of amazing people that you would think in Miami you would have the better opportunity to do that. But it was really Jacksonville that gave me those opportunities, you know. So I don't know. Florida's
It's a very loving scene here. like,
yeah,
you
it
know,
really is. It really
I
is.
tried to break in a few years ago, just like by sitting in at places like Lynch's, and I sat in with like Nigel one night at
Firewire Timber.
Oh, was that Fly's Tie?
yep,
Flies time.
Yeah.
like in the window well right there.
Oh yeah.
I went in all drunk and was like, I'm a singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, sing, Jolene. And they were like, sure.
That's what's up. Yeah, Nigel's awesome too.
He's
man.
amazing. I
Yeah.
got to see his set the other night. That was really cool. But yeah, my best friend moved here 4 years ago, and I've been coming down since she moved here, just slowly trying to chip away at like meeting people. But it wasn't until I went to play that Dunedin gig that I started to really meet like a lot of musicians in Florida.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mike gets some amazing acts
Yeah.
in that place, man. For
Corey
being
Henry
Absolutely.
there, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
From Snarky Puppy.
Yep.
Yep.
God, he's the best. I wish I
Yeah.
Yeah,
could've
he's
seen that
really
show.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
No.
But I would say like in Jacksonville it's not really it's competitive but like in a different way. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's more like friendly competition,
Yeah.
you know, and like when you get an
People
opportunity.
want to see you come up.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because
We're all
it
trying
does.
to help each other.
That's how Denver is like if
Really?
you eat, I eat. Yeah, they say it's all. Well, I know they say that about a lot of places, but it's all one big jam band. The leader
not
just
LA
changes.
and not New York. They can go to hell.
Well, I mean, I had a friend from Chicago tell me
kidding.
like people won't let you sit in on their set in Chicago. Like they work so
Really?
hard to get that stage time. They're not.
That
trying
is
to share
true.
it with
Yeah,
people.
well, that's what it. And, you know, I was talking to Jason Han also from String Cheese because I got to play with him a few weeks ago with Joe at Blue Jay Listening Room.
That's right.
One of the great venues here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It was like the night before I flew in. I was really bummed because I came in the next day and Jason was flying out like when I was flying in.
That was such a fun night. And
Yeah.
he was so cool to get to talk to just because he's had so much success and experience, and for him to even give me the time of day and
Oh, he's the
give me
most
the insight.
encouraging, sweetest man. You know, you would expect somebody with like the kind of accolades that he gets like to be pretentious, and he's just the exact opposite.
Yeah,
of that.
he was
He's
so
such a wonderful
cool.
person,
And I picked his brain a little bit, and I was like, "What's the LA scene like, man? Like, what's trying to come up and stuff?" And he was like, "Man, if you want to be like a studio guy, or you get out there to do like a hired gun situation, he's like, that's where you want to be. But if you're trying to like build a band, there like you don't want to be there at all. Like, it's not a place for an up and coming band. It's a place for people trying to make like a name for like themselves. Yeah. And that creates a very weird competitive, because it's no longer about, if I eat, you eat. It creates this kind of like me kind of mentality. So there is a lot to be said about being out there. I have friends that are doing very well out there. You can get plugged into the studio scene and the recording stuff and make good money doing that, which he gave me a lot of cool insight to as well. But overall, if you want to build a band like what we're trying to do with Side Hustle and with him at Greenhouse Lounge and all that, it's like you don't want to be out there trying to make your way through that landscape, And
it's fascinating how that energy exists so differently in different scenes. It's not LA's fault that they're that way. It's just the way that they are there.
Yeah.
And it continues to perpetuate that. And I feel like that's why I decided to stay in Denver when people were telling me you got to go to New York. And I mean, I recorded in New York a few times. Like, I did sessions out there, and I did gigs in LA, and I never felt as at home any of those places that I did in Denver, and it was because of that camaraderie and that openness. And then when I came here, felt the same way. I was just like, yo, I want to like see what I can build in this place, even just with like connections. And
just another snowbird.
Snowbird, I know.
Sorry, that's another snowbird in Florida. Sorry,
well, and we make fun of tourists so hard in Colorado.
Well,
like, it's so difficult for me to go somewhere else and be that person. Like, I humbly please accept me.
No, nobody. Like, there's like 10 people that are actually born in Florida. The rest of them just came here later.
Yeah, well, I feel
him.
Yeah,
he's one.
Well, I was born in Florida.
That's what I just said.
That's what you just said. Yeah, you're right.
That's right.
That's how I feel coming from South, like Miami, where it's like everybody. It wasn't until my generation of people that you have like a community of people that were born down there. Because before that, you were either from Cuba, or which is my dad's from Cuba, or you were from like the Northeast or something, trying to get away from all that. So it wasn't until my generation that you had like a real group of people that grew up down there. So I feel you. Whenever I go somewhere, I'm like, I don't want to be the tourist here.
I mean, we just I've just grown up making. We call them gapers in Colorado because they like drive. I know. I realized that Florida doesn't have that term.
Yeah, what is that?
It's the people that like drive around because everything is so high, the mountains, and they drive around.
Oh yeah,
that makes sense. That would be me for sure.
I love that. That's how I am.
I'm a tourist wherever I go.
Just be a gaper.
Yeah, I'll be a gaper for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a term for that.
We don't, just tourists.
We just call them tourists.
Bro.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are allowed to use gaper, because I'm sure that people like walk around with their mouths agape at like.
The ocean? We call
I don't know.
them, like, from Rocket Power, we call them shoebies.
What's that?
You're wearing shoes at the beach.
Yeah.
Shoebies.
Or a kook.
You might see it.
All right.
That's about it.
Love it.
You might see it down in Miami, because Miami's got a really big skyline, so people that are from like other places that don't see like buildings very often, if you drive through Miami, it's got a pretty impressive skyline.
Okay.
So even I, growing up down there, still drive through there. I'm just like, this is magnificent city, but like other than that, not really. We don't have mountains and shit. If you go to the beach, people sometimes don't know how to act. They litter, or they'll like jump into the shallow end head first and paralyze themselves.
Yeah,
that kind of shit happens all the time.
Wow.
But because they don't know what it's like. Oh, you go the ocean's deep. It's like not when you're 3 feet in, bro.
Wow.
Space.
That is, you know what? That's what I'm definitely used to, is people coming from out of town like, we're in Florida, we need to go to the beach. I'm like, you don't want to go to the beach, like, at all. Like really, you want to go see it?
I love the beach.
Yeah.
I love the beach too. Yeah.
It's okay.
He can't go there because he gets sun poisoning if he's in the sun for more than 10 minutes. But
I feel like that was Irish hate.
Irish,
right
a
there.
little Irish hate.
Woo!
You think I'm a little? Yeah, I got some Irish
Anyways,
hate in
no,
me.
yeah, I guess I'm real quick. But I'm just saying that, like, whenever anybody comes from out of town and they come to Florida, they're like, we have to go to the beach. I'm like, we don't have to.
Yeah. I'm like, we have to go to the beach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all right. I love the beach.
That's all we really have. But most people that or live here are not from here.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. I wanted to go back to some of the music stuff for a second, though, and kind of ask you, for somebody who plays so much in different bands and doing a lot of covers and stuff, do you feel like you still have time to find your own voice as a singer and as an artist in creating, or do you find yourself getting caught up in that gig life and just trying to pay your bills?
Both.
Yeah.
And COVID actually, when that struck, actually was kind of like a good reset for me because I was doing so much, not to complain about being busy as a musician, but that I was getting burnt out, you know, because you get to the point where you just eat, sleep, and, you know,
Gig.
it's all you are is gig. Yeah. I mean, I do have weeks where I have 3 gigs a day sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and that's amazing. Like, I could not complain about that, but like, you know how many birthday parties I've missed. I've never met like a lot of my friends' children.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of like sacrifices that you make. I don't see my parents as often as I'd like to, you know, and I feel like everyone around me is getting older and having like more of these human experiences. But then I'll have a night on stage with some musicians that are just flying, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is why I'm alive. I needed to remember this. So, I think that for me, I'm learning right now, like, how to have fun. Because when music is your job, you spend a lot of time focused on what you have to get done for that. So there's months that I learn like 30 to 50 tunes in a month because I'm like on weddings or something and doing like these cover gigs, or I'll get something last minute and somebody will be like, we need somebody in 3 days that knows like these 10 originals or something. And you're just like, oh God, okay, I can do this. I mean, I did that over the weekend where they're like, can you learn this song in 5 minutes and then come on up, you know? And I was
in the
like,
waiting line with Ben, right?
Yeah, where I was like, I've never sung this. I'm going to go back to the tent and listen to it. And then I came back and was like, got it, you know?
Yeah.
But I had heard it before I got lucky with that one. But
course.
same with the reality, though. They like came to my camp that morning and like showed me the song. And, you know, we had a great time with it. But I've gotten to that point because I don't say no to anything. It's like given me the ability over the years to like, I don't know, pick up on it without the theory experience. Like, because I should.
Got it down to a science.
Well, yeah, I feel like most people would use their music theory training or whatever in order to get that done.
No, you got everybody's got their own way of learning.
Yeah,
songs.
so I have like a more roundabout way. I have synesthesia.
Oh,
so like
awesome.
I see or I hear colors.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that's like how I am a singer.
red, like always. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, your name is Red?
No, A minor.
A minor's red.
It's
Yeah,
red.
yeah. So like I'll hear a tune and like
It's
people will
weird.
be playing and I'll be like, oh, this is blue. I might as well match that blue
Yeah,
tone.
that makes sense.
You know, or
Interesting.
like
Very
this song is
interesting.
green, you know, like, yeah. So I think that for me, I needed to kind of get back to like feeling like a human being and that's why the Chromadonna album was like songs that I had written 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
Because I hadn't really taken time in the last few years to write, but wanted to do an album. And it took 2 years to put it out.
Yeah.
You know, because we were all so busy scheduling studio time with Josh Fairman was like 2 months out sometimes because he was on the road with Sun Squabby or like doing Color Red stuff or you know, running his own studio. And he was the guy that we wanted to produce that with because he's just an incredible producer and great engineer. And so I've had to learn how to be patient with like my original stuff. But then I tend to do a lot of improvisation on stage anyways.
Yeah.
So then you find your own voice with that. I think learning all of those covers, learning the way that those artists did that helped me find my own tone. Because I remember there was this guy from the Delphonics that used to come into El Chapultepec back in the day.
Nice.
And I remember him being like, baby, you got to find your own sound. What's your sound? And he would like ask me to sing like this line. He's like, okay, now sing it how you think Adele would sing it. Now sing it how you think like Erykah Badu would sing it. You know, and then like sing it how you would sing it. And I couldn't sing it how I would sing it because I hadn't found it yet.
Yeah.
You know, and I think now like I'll hear a cover song that I do all the time, and I'll be like, oh my God, I thought I was doing that like to the note of what the cover was, and it turns out I'm not even close anymore because I've made it my own.
Right.
You know, and it's just something you find over time.
I've kind of experienced a similar thing where playing guitar, I don't really consider myself as much of a singer as I do a guitar player, so I'm never as concerned with my singing as I should be. But when it comes to playing guitar, I'm always like, when I take a solo or when I'm trying to create something, I always find myself thinking like, what would this person do here? What would that person do there? And I find it gets in the way of me just kind of trying to express my own self. So, well, doesn't matter what they would do here. What would you do here?
Yeah.
And I'm always curious as to whether other musicians kind of have that same kind of ego or voice in their head, just kind of say, like, trying to dictate what you should be doing there, rather than just like, hey,
yeah.
what do you have to say right here? You know?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting point. We do the Last Waltz Revisited every year, and I do.
Okay. Sorry, my mic. I think my mic is like way lower for some. Oh, there it is.
Oh, how's
Check.
my mic level? Where am I at? Am I good?
I think this cable's a little fucked up. I think that's what's going on.
So I do this Joni Mitchell tune every year, and it's like I was so honored to be invited onto this thing because there's just some incredible musicians that play on it every year. We had Natalie Cressman and Jen Hartswick on it last year
awesome.
with us. And I remember wanting to do Coyote because I sing Coyote, this Joni Mitchell tune, like super exactly like her because I was afraid to stray from it because I felt like it would be like disrespectful to this like iconic like show that sells out every year and all this. And then as I would make it my own, I got way more compliments. And realized, okay, people, they want to see a little bit of both.
Totally.
They want you to pay homage to it and not be like a complete asshole and make it like, you know, totally different.
Right.
They want to see that you know it. And then they want to see you do something that is, in their opinion, maybe a little better.
Right.
Because think of all the covers and stuff that you've heard that you're like, wow, I like this cover better than I like the original.
For sure.
You know, and it's because somebody paid enough homage to the original for you to recognize it, but then made it different enough in their own way that made you think it was better than.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
That's.
the original.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead because mine has no point.
Well.
Where's your mic level at, though?
My mic level is crushed. And right in the
run me that mic.
Crushing.
You better run that mic level.
Right in the banana level. Anyways, it's ready to be picked. Anyways, the what I was gonna say is I was trying to think of a cover that is just like the worst rendition of it ever, and I can't really think of anything right now. But
Taylor Swift, September, the Earth, Wind, and Fire tune.
do you remember
my
that
God.
song? Really? That bad?
Oh,
I've never heard it before.
don't.
Taylor
Save
Swift-
yourself that few minutes of your life.
Can't do funk or R&B.
No.
I'm sorry.
Honey.
Just
Why
take a
not?
backseat on this one. I'm just
It was
saying.
so
She's
bad
okay.
I almost felt like it was like I feel like she owes them an apology.
Oh no.
But you know, that's my own hot take, personal
your hot
opinion.
take?
That's
Yeah.
me.
I wonder like who else do you hate?
That's a real
Because
deep
I
dive there.
have, and I don't know where this comes from, but I have the biggest crush on Miley Cyrus, and I think she's amazing. But what do you think about her?
You know what? When she did Jolene with Dolly Parton, that's when I was like, all right.
She's okay.
She's very
She
talented.
passes.
I
I
mean-
think she's a great singer.
She came in like a wrecking ball, baby.
Oh boy.
Into your life.
Yeah, there was her new song. Her like I don't even listen to pop music that much at all anymore. But it's just like I was just like, yeah, I like her.
She got a
A lot.
dope voice, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
I
does.
mean, but look how she came up, man.
And
like
she
how-
talks like this if you want to hang out.
Well, that's
I think if Lindsay Lohan was good at singing, she had an album too. That was
yeah,
trash.
she did. I didn't even hear it.
Oh, wow. You did, though.
Yeah.
You listened
Yeah,
to it.
Billy's
Yeah.
a big pop guy.
Oh, I just had
That's
a big
what's
crush
up.
on Lindsay Lohan when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think we all did. All
Yeah.
guys did growing up.
I mean, I actually still think she's good looking.
Well, I thought that Miley Cyrus.
Complete right off.
I thought she was pretty good. But anyways, I was wondering if there's anybody. Well, not that you need to say it because it'll be public or whatever. But like, who do you hate?
Now the other than that, who do you love? Who's your favorite singer?
Well, like-
No, who do you
Biggest
Wait,
hate?
who do I
inspiration.
hate? Okay, hang on.
Way better.
Like, Okay. Wow. Like, okay, like, you mean, like, personality-wise or, like, just like, I don't love
singers.
their music?
Oh,
I'd say their music is probably more interesting than personality-wise. So we don't really know anybody that we don't know.
Personally.
You know what I mean?
Who do I hate? Damn, man.
Unless you want the personality side of it. I just don't think that's a fair question.
like I don't like Billie Eilish because like you're too young to be that sad, and then but she's really good at singing though, so you can't really like, so that would be a personality that I don't like, but she's good at
Yeah,
a
you
good
don't even
musician.
know she's been through either of those.
Okay, so, like, who do I hate?
I would assume.
Well, you know what? Like, I love, like, for instance, like, Lorde. Like,
Okay.
I
What
actually am
happened
a
to her?
fan, but I hate that girl because she's, like, she's so young and she, like, blew up, like, and I wish that was me.
I guess so. Like
There's a little envy going on. I understand
little
that.
peanut butter
I
and
feel that.
jealousy.
'Cause I didn't
understand.
start singing until 26, man. If I had it like that at, like, 16 years old, like, come on.
I don't
dude.
know. That's like a whole nother topic of discussion. It's like, yeah, I don't think you should be allowed to be famous until you're 18, like just in a story. But she was like, what, 14?
Like a license.
Like
you could have, like, a fame license.
Yeah,
13 or,
license.
13
Sorry,
or
you're
14
too young,
when
kiddo.
she got really, really popular and everything. And then it got to her so bad that didn't she like hole up in New Zealand and just not making music anymore? That's why.
Well, she's probably balling out.
yeah. Well,
So
but how do you ball out as 15? I don't know. Whatever. But I still think that yeah, she was
who do
really
you
good.
hate?
Who do I hate?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
Billie
so
Eilish apparently,
many.
and
So many
Lorde
people.
apparently.
No, I do like.
Oh, you
Lorde.
like Lorde?
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually did like Lorde. I miss Lorde. Lorde, if you hear this, come back, please.
Yeah, I'm sure she's gonna watch this.
I don't know. I don't know who I hate as a singer.
Just a
It'll
musician
come to
in
me.
general.
A musician in general.
Yeah.
Prince. Never really liked Prince. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just.
Oh
kidding.
man, I was about to, like, physically assault you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
You're
No,
gonna
he's
get
one of my
knocked
favorite.
out.
I can't really think of it. Nothing
By
comes to mind
Jambush
right now.
Jones.
Yo,
bro.
you're gonna get fucked up.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
I said
totally,
some
I'm
shit
totally
like that
kidding.
around
I love
here.
fish. Not fish.
What?
Prince. Wow.
I got it
bro.
mixed up. You were. I saw.
Understandable.
I saw the fishman on you, and I was just like, yeah, French fish, something.
Yeah.
Fresh Prince.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I don't know who
You know who I hate is, like, fucking, like, bass nectar and, like, Nako.
Yeah,
I can't stand any of that.
You know,
shit,
people
bro.
who are just super full of themselves. For sure, rapists are, like, definitely. I've, like, had stalkers.
Really, you don't like rapists?
I've had stalkers and death threats because, like, I've outed rapists in Denver.
Really?
Jesus Christ. But yeah, rapist. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of those either.
Not a big fan of rapists.
Not a
over
huge
here.
fan, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know who I have to say. Sorry for derailing.
I mean, are you, like,
conversation.
team rape or, like, team no rape?
I'm
you
getting
know?
I'm getting a real team rape vibe from you right now.
You'd be surprised, but my opinion is actually team no rape.
Amen, baby.
Yeah.
We can agree on
Yeah,
this.
we can agree. You shouldn't
Snap.
do it. It's not fun for anybody.
No,
It's
it's
not
not.
Jesus Christ.
But as far as a musician that I can't stand, I don't know. My unpopular opinion last week was that the Beach Boys were overrated.
So you don't.
You're
you-
like
you-
the third person to say that to me this month.
There you
That
go.
is a crazy thing to say to somebody, just in general. It's not-
cut,
not- not-
cut it
just-
out.
It's just
But also, like, why are people still talking about the Beach Boys?
because
I
they
totally
revolutionized harmonizing.
Why is Billy still talking about them?
Oh, you know what? I could say
Billy's a
I'm not-
hater.
I'm not a hater, honestly, but Cardi B can be done now, I think.
Yeah, I think she can go away.
You know what? Like, I am
That's about
personally
it.
a huge fan of Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay. That's.
okay.
I'm just saying, like, that's not
Ari
Cardi
Lennox
B.
is like my number top one like thing right now. Is
What
I'm
is?
a big fan of Ari Lennox.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who it is.
She's a vocalist.
Oh.
I actually just did a cover of one of her tunes with like Jason Han and Chuck Morris and Dave Watts and Jeff Lloyd and two people from the Magic Beans.
Nice.
Um,
Is it like a recording project or?
we did a private show in Denver.
Okay, cool.
You know, but that's the thing is Denver has like crazy bands living there. Like I played with Benny Bloom a couple days before
That's
I came
awesome.
down here with Joey Porter and Todd Smalley and Garrett Sayers and like Sean Eccles from Andy Frasco's band, and the lineup was insane. It was like 25 musicians.
Yeah, Denver's got that's what's kind of separating a lot of those bigger city scenes from like what's happening here is that there's not a lot of like people come through here all the time because they're good markets to hit because people love music, but it's like nobody lives here. that we have like these people showing up to jams. It's usually like they have to be in here and like they have like a day off the next day or the day before.
Yeah, or you're like scheduling them weeks out in order to be like on an extra gig or something during their run.
So it's like, you know, so it has its appeal in that respect, but also like you go to Denver or you go to LA or New York, it's just like I was in LA a few years ago. My older sister lives out there, and I visited my friend Kane, who's a drummer. He went to Berkeley and all that, and he's living out there now. And I went to go meet him at a bar or whatever. We were having a drink, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's Justin Bieber's drummer right there." I was just like, he shows up to all the jam nights on Tuesdays, and I was like, Justin Bieber's drummer. That's just
yeah, we get the same thing happening in Denver though. Like Deshaun Alexander from Marcus King's band would like come and sit in with me every Sunday at the Pag.
Right.
DJ Williams was living there. Like he's kind of back and forth right now, but I mean, people from like Turquoise and like just all kinds of bands, you know, just be living there. And I mean, it's so much easier when you just have them living there to be like. I mean, I'm talking about writing music with like Isaac Teal right now from Talk, and I mean, because he's there.
Yeah, you're on the ground floor with all these people, you know. But you know, for all of you guys still living and people in general still living in Denver and LA and New York, your places are shut down. So come to Florida, we'll take you. Come on.
They're letting me in.
Yeah,
we're anybody who wants to just come and jam and just create shit. We're here. But
that's why you guys are next, because you're that loving and like you're like opening your arms. I mean, everybody that I've ever met musician wise in Florida has been the same way. Like you guys, and that's why Denver became the scene that it is.
Right.
And it was where jam bands flocked to. It was jam bands all want to play with each other anyways. That's a jam. That's like the whole mentality of it. So when you just like get on in here, you know, people do. And the next thing you know, you've got a huge scene. And I truly believe that this place is next.
For sure. Well,
we're trying our best.
Trying our best is what we want to do with this podcast and bring some awareness to.
This is what's
going
to do
here.
it. It's the podcast.
You never know, man. Trying to build an empire.
Bro,
here, I'm just saying.
You jest.
I know I am.
That's what I keep telling them.
We are trying really hard. Well, I got to.
You're gonna make millions. Yeah,
millions.
Son.
I'm fucking telling.
I don't even want to
make hundreds of dollars as a musician.
I would just want to make hundreds of dollars. That's about it.
I'm trying to fucking tell people. I'm trying to build an empire here. Is all I'm saying, and I get laughed at all the time.
No, manifest it. You got to put it out there.
I just want. I want people to be like, I want to be on the bottom of the bill. That's all I really want. I don't care about.
You want to be. You want to be at the bottom of the bill, which is like the
complete
podcast. Yeah, I know exactly.
That's the whole
complete antithesis to what any musician wants to be, and then all of a sudden say, oh, it's a podcast called Bottom of the Bill.
We're never gonna change the name. Start on the bottom.
I think it's a great.
Stay at the bottom.
Stay at the bottom.
Anyway, amen.
Yeah.
Shit.
That we have on the bottom mentality.
All right, well,
so stupid. Sorry.
So dumb. Anyways, we should move on to unpopular opinions. Cause
man, time flies, man. When you're having fun, I guess. It was so easy talking to you, but think of an unpopular opinion that wasn't one that you've said already.
And then while we do ours, and then,
we'll have ours.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth. Who wants to go first?
So my first unpopular opinion is the festival experience is not for musicians. Typically, anyways, and this is why I say that because most of the time, like I've played festivals in the past where people are like, "Well, is Side Hustle going to be camping and hanging out?" I'm like, "No, we have a gig the next day, or we have a gig the day before, so we can't go the whole weekend."
This was the first time in 15 years that I've been able to go to a full festival.
Right.
Yeah.
So people get upset. They're like, "Oh, you guys never hang out. You guys never camp." Blah blah. It's like, yeah, too cool. It's like, no, man. This is for me. This is a job.
Right.
And the crew that's working there. This is a job. So we have like our own way of having fun here. But the full festival experience is not for us. It's for you. And we're doing it, so, like, first off, we love to play music, obviously, so that's why we're doing it. But it's also, like, we're here to provide an experience for you. The people providing the experiences don't always get to experience the experience. Mm-hmm. So this is a good time for me
that's
to
a
actually...
really good way of putting that.
So that this was a fun weekend for me to kind of just get to let loose a little bit, not have to worry about a gig the next day or whatever it might be, So I got to let loose a little bit. I got to make some, reconnect with some friends who I couldn't hang out with in a while. Joy rides. Thank you, Greg Sears, for that. But yeah, so that's my first unpopular opinion.
I liked Adam Kenaway's definition of festivals, like we're all gigging all the time, right, as musicians, and then festivals are like the only time, like, oh, we all get to see each other play, like, finally, and I get to hang out and talk to each other. Network, I hate saying the word network because that's never fun.
Got a negative connotation.
It does, but just seeing each other and hanging out and having a drink and just talking about stuff, like, 'cause we're all just giant music nerds anyways, but you can finally, or like, it's like going to a Star Wars con and then, like, oh, you can talk to somebody and you don't look like a nerd,
right?
Finally, for once, but that. I kind of actually agree with you. It's not unpopular.
Oh my goodness! Well, I think something we agree on for once. This is
Anyways,
amazing.
Here's my unpopular opinion. I don't care who wins the election. I just want it to be over.
I think
I'm fine with it. I'm just whatever.
Just get it over with. This has been a crazy year.
Yeah.
All the toxicity, poisonous bullshit being spread across the airwaves and social media is just getting a little cumbersome.
I mean, I do want a certain grandpa to win.
Okay.
But if he doesn't, I just don't care. I just want it to be over. Just go back to. Hopefully, nobody starts a race riot and race war with the guns. Walmart's not selling guns.
Well, you know what? And I'm going to tack on to your unpopular opinion with a little bit of one of myself, but Florida is like an escape from all of that for me.
You think so?
Yeah, even though Denver is like way more liberal.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
because it's so more liberal, people give a shit about everything.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And keep an eye on you and want to make sure you give a shit.
Oh
And,
yeah, hold you to an impossible standard. you
and
know?
to the point where, like, I mean, I see people driving around with fucking Trump flags and shit waving.
In Denver or Florida?
Here.
Yeah, in Florida.
And
for
people
sure.
get along better here
Yeah.
with each other than they do there.
That was what I
Yeah.
was gonna ask you. Is like, how's the pickup trucks with Trump flag situation in Denver going?
Colorado Springs, you'll
Oh,
see
yeah,
'em.
that's
But
up
like
north.
not really Denver.
Colorado's a pretty conservative state outside of Denver. Maybe Denver, Boulder.
So when you go west of Denver, it's liberal, like for the most part, the mountains
Yeah.
and stuff. But east of Denver, you might as well just be in Nebraska or
Yeah.
Kansas or
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Well, it's like the thing is, being in Florida is you have like these liberal pockets, like Miami, for the most part, with the exception of like some of the Cuban city neighborhoods. It's pretty liberal, and then the rest of Florida, with the exception of like maybe in the city of Orlando and like Tampa, it's pretty conservative. So the liberals in general still hold you to a pretty high standard of certain things, but they kind of have to play ball here a little bit as well because they're surrounded by so much conservatism. It's like you don't really get to have the same voice as a liberal here that you might like in Denver or LA or something.
Yeah, and in Denver, like you speak up and like 80 people chime in with you and like here.
Right.
You know?
So you say something as a liberal here, and you got 100 people say, "Sit down, commie."
Right.
So it's like
Right.
Pretty much. That's
But
pretty much it.
but the crazy thing for me is that I feel less anxiety about this election in Florida than I do being in Denver, because in Denver you're just hearing about it nonstop.
right.
And like here, I've been able because I've been here for like the last
Well, that's
3
just
weeks.
because they already know it's going to be Trump. And
Yeah.
we already know. So
More or
just
less, yeah, I
decided.
mean, more or less, we'll see what
But
happens.
it is, you do see Trump flags like constantly on
My
trucks
unpopular
everywhere.
opinion with that is that honestly, I don't want to vote for either one of them.
You don't want to vote for either one?
No.
I'm third party all
That's
the way.
your
I really
your
don't.
right as an American not to vote.
I'm third party.
Oh, I'm gonna vote.
Yeah.
Or
And we get
Oh,
mail-in
sorry.
ballots in Colorado for like everybody, so I have my ballot with me. I'm just gonna drop it off when I get back to Colorado.
There you
you
go.
All right.
I went third party all the way. I'm not afraid to say it. Maybe that's my.
I
second
went Joe
popular
Biden.
opinion.
I just want my grandpa to win.
All right. Well, what are you gonna do?
What's your grandpa's name? I'll vote for him.
Joe Biden.
Joe
Joe Biden.
Biden. All right. So my second unpopular opinion is, so I'm not a big fan of having sit-ins on shows, and this is my whole thing with it. If I'm at like a bar gig or something, or if I'm doing just like something that's a little bit less, in my mind, less pressure, I'll do sit-ins all day 'cause I really do enjoy jamming. But if I put on like with Side Hustle or something, if we have a worked out show,
Yeah.
I do not like.
your set?
Yeah, I don't like, because also our music is not really. It's all very super arranged and like just very worked out.
That was one of my favorite sets at Monster Mash.
Oh, thank
What
you so
was?
much.
Side Hustle?
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
that. That
You
means
guys
a
are
lot.
killer.
Thank you so much.
And it's not just the drugs talking.
No,
No, it probably is, but
appreciate-
thank you anyways. I'll take any compliment.
appreciate
Put
that.
them
Thank
in
you
a
very
jar
much.
for later.
It
We
was
were-
amazing. Though.
But I will
it
say,
really was.
it's very unpopular, and you're a giant nerd for saying that.
Well, that's okay. It's not that we had Rosie come up and sit in
Twice.
And, yeah, and it's fine. It was fun, but I'm just saying, like, for me, when we do those kind of things, it's just like I feel like it kind of takes away from what we're actually fully capable of putting on.
I suppose so.
It's like we have to sacrifice a little bit to make it happen.
that
and
makes
which is
a lot of sense, especially if you do have your own set worked out.
yeah, and people get rubbed the wrong way by that all the time. It's
Oh,
like,
of
you don't want
course.
to do sit-ins. You don't want. It's like it has something to do with your ability as a musician or whatever. It's just that we have a very specific thing, and I want to connect with you. I'd love to jam with you sometime. Maybe this isn't the right scenario to do
Yep.
it, though. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why it's an unpopular opinion, though.
That's why I was really surprised that I got invited on to because I knew that Rosie and Joe were going to invite me. Like that, they had invited me before I came down.
Yeah.
But I got invited on more sets, especially by people like Ben Strock who didn't even know who I was. You know, because that is like your set.
Yeah.
And you know, you're really taking a risk with that.
For sure.
But that's also the kind of thing I would do is just be like, yeah, get him on up.
Yeah.
Wait, you
Totally,
play,
I
you play in
understand
the
that.
waiting line with them? Is
Yeah.
that what he said?
Yeah.
A zero,
With Ben, yeah.
seven?
Ben's
Yeah.
band, yeah.
Yeah.
I know music.
Yeah, it was really cool too. I was at my van, like taking a break from the shows and everything, and
Our
then like
van.
Our van.
I
Sorry.
loved that we could just see the stage from like where we were camping.
So good.
Oh, those backyard festivals are the best.
And
That's like hands down the biggest backyard festival I've ever been to.
Yeah, it
It
wasn't
was
really
like
a
the
backyard
most fun I
festival,
have
but
ever
yeah,
had
it
at a
was fun.
festival.
I mean, it was.
was
But I heard them start in the waiting line, and I was like, no fucking way! It's literally my favorite song of all time.
You like 07.
And well, yeah, and just that song I have a certain connection with just because of experiences. It's kind of like been the soundtrack to over the years, and I'm just like, I was like, no fucking way, and I ran from the van all the way to the front of the stage, and I was like, fuck yes. That was probably the hardest I got down the entire weekend.
Yeah.
He side
That
hustled
really
over.
means so much to me.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's like what got me invited to do this, I think, to be honest
Really?
with you. Yeah. Because
Oh,
that was when
awesome.
you were like, hey, you want to do Bottom of the Bill?
No.
Just
Well,
letting
actually,
you
I
know.
had some friends that were at Spliffs last week also. They were like, yo, this chick Jessica Jones is in town. She plays with so-and-so, done all this. You should definitely get her on the podcast. I was like, all right, cool. Well, if I connect with her, then we'll definitely make it happen.
Cool.
Then we jammed together at
We
Joe's
got to play with
thing.
Joe, yeah.
Yeah, and then, so I'm glad this actually worked out that
That's
way.
I
It's
think
been
I
pretty cool.
scared you in the middle of the night because I was like parked right next to Rosie, and I said, "Hey, Jessica," and you're like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I was like,
I didn't
I'm
say
Taylor.
that.
No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
I was hammered,
No,
and
I know,
I was
I
like, so like for about 3 hours the other night, my girlfriend and I were just sitting in his truck
Oh, yeah?
listening to trap music, and
Yeah.
like
Nice.
we would
Yeah,
only
some
get
hood
out to
rat-
go to
hood
pee
rat
and like
shit.
smoke cigarettes. Yeah, just like, well, that girl, you know, she winds up every festival we've gone to. She winds up hanging out the sunroof of like a Hummer or a really nice whip, listening to trap music.
You got to do some hood rat shit sometimes.
Whatever hippie festival we're at, this bitch just finds the shit. You should just find it. She'll be there.
Let's see. My second unpopular opinion is I don't mind getting older. I kind of like it. I'm settling into it.
It's a good one.
I'm looking forward to it.
You get to.
I think I had a point, but I forgot it.
How old are you?
31. I know it's not that old, but I'm like.
You're looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to like 50, 60, 70 years old. See if we'll
yeah.
make it.
Well, I think there's something to being able to, like,
Like, I don't miss being young. I'm like, oh, damn it, I have all this regret, and I wish I was 20, and all those 20-year-olds look fun. I'm like, no. I think we had an interview with that nice lady from, what was the magazine?
Cameron from Narrow
Cameron,
Magazine.
and then she was asking me what my favorite music. I like listening to Mac DeMarco, and he's like one of my favorite artists right now. I was like, oh, if you like him, then you'll like listening to this. And I started listening to this, and I was like, this is pretty good music. And I couldn't really relate to the music. And then my girlfriend looked it up, and she's like, oh, that's because he's 18.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to be 18, right? I never want to be 18.
I don't ever want to be
Exactly,
18
right?
again.
So that's all
No,
I'm trying to
I
say.
totally
I don't want to get. And then he's like singing songs about love and everything, but I'm like, yo, like what? That's what I was saying about Billie Eilish, and
Yeah.
I'm like, You don't know anything.
You're not old
You don't
enough to
know
really
hurt.
feel that kind
You
of
know?
pain, girl. And now you're rich. I don't believe it for a minute.
Yeah, you're real sad. Yeah, I don't believe it.
Well,
That's my popular.
yeah,
opinion.
I would agree with that. You know, I think that there's something that happens once I started hitting like 27, 28. I was kind of like, not that that's old or anything, but like I think you start to get to a point where you can kind of party smarter, and you start to value your experiences a little bit more. And for me, I know like now I'm 31 and I just kind of like look at what my goals are, and I know that everything else I did when I was younger is kind of not worth doing anymore. For that means sacrificing what your career and your goals within your career are. So for me, like I said, this weekend I kind of let loose a little bit, but because I also know that I didn't have really anything to do, and I know that like the ducks that need to be in a row are in a row, so I can kind of let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
But if this was like pre-COVID, it probably would have been a scenario where like I show up, we play, and then we're out type shit, you know.
100%.
So I think that that as I've gotten older, I just learned to kind of pick my battles a little bit better, if that makes sense, you know, like knowing what gigs I want to take, knowing what's worth doing for free and what's not worth doing for free, knowing what gigs, even if they're paid, knowing what's worth doing and what's worth not doing, and like, I don't know, just connecting with the right people and trying to just weed out all the bullshit. I think once you get older, you're much better at doing
Tony,
all
I
want
to grow old with you.
Can you just not make this weird for 5 seconds?
You call him Tony?
I call him Tony 305. He's from Miami.
I hate it. So I'm not from Miami technically, and all
He's
my
born
cousins
in
hate it when I
Miami.
say that.
He has 305 like area code just like on his.
I actually don't at all.
calf
It's a
tattoo.
complete lie.
Yeah,
And
100%.
Billy and I have a very strange
He's
relationship.
half of his blood cells are just made of cocaine.
That is not true.
Half of mine are made of cocaine.
Hey, Jessica Jones.
Just kidding.
You know,
It's acid.
It's a lot of fun. Oh no, it broke finally. But it's a lot of fun having a name that has the same letters. You know what I'm trying to say?
I don't know what you're trying to say
'Cause
at all. Not even a little
it's
bit.
Jessica
I
Jones.
think he's made of acid now.
No,
He's
I'm not.
probably made of acid.
I'm just
or
an
some-
Irish drunk.
or
but
moonshine, maybe.
My name's Billy Bagley. There's Jessica Jones. You know what I'm trying to say? We're like Marvel.
We're
characters.
alliterations.
Well, like yeah, we should be in a comic book.
You guys want
Let's do
to
it.
All right.
start your own comic book?
We just
Billy
did.
Bagley and Jessica.
You
I
wanna
think
be in
Jessica
it?
Jones might be a comic book already.
Yeah, she's Peter Parker's friend.
All right. That's right. I heard
I'm down to be in a comic
What's your
book.
last one?
Tony
We gotta wrap this
305.
up. I gotta go to work soon.
All right. My last one is it's still too early to be celebrating Christmas, Bill.
Not true.
That-
Christmas is the best holiday. Lives in our hearts.
Billy puts up Christmas lights in July, by
Yeah,
the way.
Yeah, I do.
He's the worst human being
I have
ever.
it for every holiday.
Love it.
Yeah,
You're
you-
so
my Chris-
sentimental.
Yeah, I am very sentimental.
that's
Especially,
gross.
I just like Christmas.
I like
lights
the
in general.
Christmas. Yeah, I like the Christmas lights.
But you should be surprised. I didn't have enough time to put up Christmas lights today.
No, you didn't.
But I usually,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
in November I do. I don't like Thanksgiving that much.
I like all the holidays, and I love Christmas too. But
Christmas is the best.
it's I shouldn't, when it's like October, be seeing happy holidays and all this crazy shit. You know what I mean? It's like we still got 2 or 3 months before it all. It's stressful for a lot of people.
Why?
You got family, you got people who are traveling, you got to buy gifts, and there's all these weird expectations that
It's
come with
the
it.
most wonderful time of the year.
And I love it. I'm just saying, I don't want to be reminded. I shouldn't have to be reminded of the stress 3 months in advance. Let me deal with it when it comes. You know what I mean?
All right, here's my last one then. Oysters are disgusting, and that is not fly.
Oysters?
If you live in Florida.
I like oysters.
That's all they eat is oysters down here. It's disgusting.
There's a lot of oysters here. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like oysters.
I only eat them in New Orleans usually. I don't
Really?
know if
Yeah,
I've ever
just-
eaten them here.
Just in the Gulf or whatever, but oysters are disgusting. They're the worst things ever.
I'll eat oysters. Not like a huge fan, but they're good. I
No,
like 'em.
gross.
All right, my last one.
Yeah, what do you got?
I secretly love that as a musician, I can still get fucked up at the job and not get in trouble for
That
it.
is.
Probably the most popular opinion as a
right.
musician.
But yeah, I.
I
agree
mean, there are a
though.
lot of people though, like especially like in the like heavy jazz circles and stuff, where they're like, or there's some people who are like, alcohol does not make you sing better. It doesn't make you perform any better.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard this for like years from like usually recovering alcoholics.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love that like what other job in the world can you just go and like
Not even
get
that.
lit and
They pay pay you in it.
Right.
That's my favorite part. They're like, okay, so you'll play for 3 hours, et cetera amount of money, and then we'll give you $100 bar time. Like, so they expect you to drink.
So you're letting me get drunk while you pay me.
I know.
Well, there's
I love
That's
it.
a great perk.
There's a slippery slope, like you were saying.
Yeah,
You
of
still
course.
have to have your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And, you know, like even for me this weekend, I sang every night. So I had to like make sure like I could walk.
right.
And that's about it.
I for sure, I don't really care who knows. I definitely was too drunk for the Super Jam.
I think you killed it.
Well, thank you.
It was fun. Yeah, I just.
For some reason, liquor makes me really confident, so it doesn't really matter.
I just didn't really care.
Right? I think I've like done high kicks on stage and like shoved my underwear in
I
a
was-
crowd on liquor before.
Just got left.
They made it. We had costumes for the show because everyone's doing Monster Mash, so they had a Michael Jackson jacket. And I was just like drunk, and I took off my shirt and I just wore the jacket.
That was
And my girlfriend was just like, "No, you need to put a shirt on underneath. You're
Take it easy.
definitely not in shape for that."
Take another Quelo, she love me again.
That would be my line, by the way, because I'm from Miami. not
Right.
Tony 305, Tony Montana.
Only want that.
My cousins love it when I say I'm from Miami. I'm from Broward County, which is like
Who
just north
cares?
of Miami.
Okay.
But I was on the south end of Broward County, so I was like literally closer to Miami than I was to Fort Lauderdale.
Tony
so I just tell
Montana
people
wasn't even from
I'm
Miami. He's from Cuba.
Yeah, he's from.
I'm from Cuba.
Anyway, this has been a great podcast.
Thank you guys
for being
so
on.
much for having me.
No,
It's
thank you
been
a
a
million for
blast.
coming out. I think by distance, you're the farthest away guest that we've had.
Killer.
If you live in Denver, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Joe Marcinek was at
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
But
But no, yeah, you're the farthest musician.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
Denver. Even though I'm really trying to hang out here in Florida right now.
Yeah. And please tell Marcus I said hi and that I love him.
I'm going to.
And I'm his favorite fan.
I'm gonna let him know that you are his favorite fan. Okay.
That's awesome. I actually did reach out to him and on Snapchat and said like, hey, if you ever need keys, he's like, yeah, man, I'll hit you up. I'm like, okay.
He also is like
I know he's super busy all the time.
insanely busy.
I get it.
He
And
really
probably
is.
knows every musician, every keyboardist better than me, so that's fine.
But fuck that. I'm gonna like talk you up. I'm gonna be like, look, dude, this guy was like gonna be nominated for a nomination for a Grammy nomination, but he didn't quite get the
at every
nominee.
point in
but
time in my
I
life,
mean,
I've been
dog, it's
nominated.
clout.
I've been nominated for a nomination. That's my life as
well-
a
Right.
Grammy. I'm a nominated Grammy Award-winning nomination.
Billy's trying to quit his day job, so that's my
Yeah,
goal for
night shift
2021
job.
is to get Billy to quit his day job.
Let's
so
do it.
Let's make it happen.
I would love to.
Well,
Take
let's.
me on the road. Well,
So
let's
I'm
do
trying to
digital-
like play here more. Let's like get some shows together, and
I'd
maybe we
love
can
to.
snowball some
Perfect.
things.
Perfect. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much again for being
Thank
on
you.
here.
I really
And
appreciate you
guys, make
guys.
sure you're getting tickets to November 21st at 1904 Music Hall. And,
Are you gonna be playing in Florida anytime soon?
You know what? We just kind of came up with this idea. It's a little bit in the works right now, but my birthday is New Year's Eve. So since
Ooh.
Denver is like so impossible to book stuff without it getting like shut. I mean, I just talked to people today who said that their gigs this week just got canceled like today.
Oh,
you
no
know,
shit.
so it's just so hard to book anything in advance. I'm thinking about trying to do a birthday show down here for around New Year's. New
Okay.
Year's
Word.
Eve.
Hell yeah. Try to make something happen. It'd be
All right,
fun.
well, keep us updated. We'd love to come see you.
Sweet.
All right. We'll see you again next time, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Adios, muchachos.